Two, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is committed to strengthening the economy of North Wales and North West England. We've recently announced that we will invest £36 billion in Network North, including £1 billion to electrify the North Wales main line. This will improve connectivity across the region, bringing many parts of North Wales within 1 hour of Manchester and Liverpool by rail.
Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The announcement of the electrification of the North Wales main line will help to improve transport links between this region and the North West of England, supporting economic growth, tourism and jobs across both areas. Does my honourable friend agree with me that residents across Wales, and indeed my constituents in Blackpool, will see real improvements in their local transport infrastructure as part of their share of this £36 billion which is available?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I completely agree with my honourable friend. North Wales often feels overlooked by the Welsh Government, and indeed the Welsh Government have said that the electrification of the North Wales line is not their priority. Just as it was Conservative governments that built key elements of the A55 in the 1980s and 1990s, we now see a Conservative government investing further in the infrastructure and prospects of North Wales and North West England.
Begin.
Mr. Speaker, connectivity is key to underpinning that economic growth, and the railway line between North Wales through my constituency in St Helens and on to Manchester should epitomise that, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be working at the minute. It's frequently overcrowded. There are cancellations both at the Manchester end and at the Chester end. So I wonder if the Minister might speak to his colleagues in the Department for Transport as well as Transport for Wales, so that we might make some progress and make sure my constituents can get to work and this line can deliver economic growth for the North West and North Wales.
I thank him for that question. Of course, improving rail is not simply about the rail infrastructure, it's also about the train operating companies and how they operate, and he is right that Transport for Wales have struggled from time to time. So I can reassure him that I do have discussions with them. I'm in fact also meeting the Rail Minister later today when I will reiterate those concerns.
Can I welcome her to a new position? Shadow Minister Jessica Moore.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, strong economic links that are dependent on the government actually having an economic plan, but this party opposite's track record speaks for itself. They cancelled the electrification of the main line to Swansea. They're spending £500 million and still potentially making up to 3,000 steelworkers redundant, and their pitiful semiconductor strategy doesn't even give us a bit part on the world stage. Why should anyone believe that their latest promises made for North Wales at a desperate party conference are worth the fag packet they're printed on?
Well, firstly, I welcome my honourable friend, member for Newport East, to this position. She shares Welsh lessons with me and continue to do so, I hope so. But I would urge her to be somewhat more positive about the £1 billion that's been announced for infrastructure development in North Wales by means of the electrification. And also, I think in terms of the steel industry in Port Talbot, the £500 million has actually saved very many jobs and also means that decarbonisation can occur.
We now come to Liv Saville-Roberts.
HS2 is going to benefit Wales. It's going to benefit the people in North Wales, who will benefit from better access at Crewe to London. That was the Secretary of State's central argument to withholding billions of pounds from Wales by claiming HS2 benefits us. Now that the link at Crewe is another casualty of Tory chaos, will Wales office ministers stay true to their own logic and urge the Treasury to class HS2 as English only?
Well, as the Right Honourable Lady knows, rail infrastructure is not devolved, and I would argue that investment in Great Britain's rail infrastructure is of value to those in North Wales and the rest of Wales. And furthermore, HS2 is an important connection to the West Midlands, will be from London, and passengers from London to North Wales are likely to still use that.
Ms Saville-Roberts.
Applied to Crossrail, and we all know the money that's been committed is illustrative. But in a major boost to Plaid Cymru's campaign, the National Infrastructure Commission for Wales has proposed devolving the Crown estate and reinvesting profits in communities through a sovereign wealth fund. The Commission criticised the current system of wealth transfer from the poorest country in Britain to Westminster as illogical and bizarre. So whose side is he on? Welsh communities or a system that extracts our natural wealth?
Well, I know we've had this discussion on previous occasions in various settings, but I would argue that the Crown Estate allows this country to share risks and opportunities that it deals with. It does a fantastic job, and I simply don't agree.
Then, Andrea, let's.
Number 3, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, I'll answer questions 3 and 13 together. Of course, I myself work within the NHS in North East Wales and West Cheshire and see the stark realities of the disparity in healthcare services between the two. It's very concerning that the Welsh Government have missed their target to eliminate 2-year waits in most specialties, and that over 27,000 patients have been waiting over 2 years for treatment in Wales, compared with circa 280 in the whole of England. The Health Secretary has offered to consider requests from the Welsh Government to use alternate providers in England to reduce waiting lists and the distress they bring.
Mr. Speaker, with the Welsh Labour government facing cuts to their NHS as a decision of their own, does he not find it extraordinary that they're looking at spending £122 million on new politicians and £33 million on a blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limit that nobody voted for in Wales?
I entirely agree with my right honourable friend. It's scandalous that the Labour Welsh Government is prioritising spending on more politicians in Cardiff Bay, as well as an unpopular 20-mile-an-hour default speed limit. Their decisions mean less funding for the NHS, education and other important devolved services. Mr. Speaker, they have the potential instead to invest in important capital projects such as the Royal Alexandra Hospital in Rhyl, and must re-examine their agenda.
Miller.
Speaker, it gets worse. Twice the UK Government has offered the Welsh Government help in reducing patient waiting lists for important medical procedures. Neither offer has been taken up by the Labour Government in Wales. Can my honourable friend, the Minister, can he confirm that in fact that offer still stands and that patients stuck on waiting lists suffering in Wales have not been forgotten by this UK Government?
Mr. Speaker, having spoken with the Department for Health, I can indeed confirm that the offer still stands. My honourable friend will find it of interest to know that the Labour Welsh Government did write in response to the latest offer several weeks after that offer had been made. Unfortunately, the Minister did not confirm whether they would accept the offer or not. In the interest of tens of thousands of patients, I would strongly encourage them to do so.
Mr.
Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Secretary of State and I have regular discussions with Cabinet colleagues on a range of issues, including energy costs. The Government has spent nearly £40 billion protecting households and businesses from high energy bills over last winter, meaning that between October 2022 and June 2023, a typical household saw half of their energy bills paid for by the Government.
Mr. Speaker, his government didn't listen to the renewable energy sector, who repeatedly warned them that the budget set for this year's offshore wind auction was too low to attract bidders to develop offshore wind in the Celtic Sea. Can the Minister tell the House why that advice was ignored and that led to not a single bid being made?
Well, what I can tell her is that that's an issue of discussion that the Secretary of State and I are engaged with. We understand the importance of floating offshore wind in the Celtic Sea, and it will progress in due course.
David Dewey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Government recognises this is a concerning time for mortgage holders, particularly those who are due to come to the end of a fixed deal in the immediate future. We are supporting borrowers struggling with their mortgage payments through the new Mortgage Charter, which sets out the standards which signatory lenders will adopt, including new flexibilities to help customers manage their mortgage payments over a short period.
David Linden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All across Scotland, people are paying the price of the Westminster-made cost of living crisis as a result of this Conservative government and the actions of the Tories in crashing the economy last year. Will the government bring forward a mortgage interest relief scheme for my constituents and perhaps even those in East Kilbride, Straven and Lesmahagle?
What I would say to him is the government has, of course, brought forward support for mortgage interest loans for those in receipt of income-related benefit. There are also the pre-action protocol in place, which helps ensure that repossessions are less likely, in addition to the action that I've already outlined.